is Jonathan Ayoff here for Pro Boxing Fans. I'm joined here at Coldwell's gym by the main man himself, Dave Coldwell. Dave, how you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very well, very well. Thanks for having us down. First of all, is it coming home?
Oh, I hope so. I really hope so. Italy look a bit good, and Denmark are dangerous. So it's a tough game tonight. It really is a tough game tonight, and it's gonna be pretty nervy, I think. But I think if everybody turns up and if everybody does the job, then yeah, I think we get through to the final, and then it's how people handle things on the big night.
Just briefly touch on the guys here today. Jordan, some news coming up, not announced yet. Hopey in fight camp. Start with Hopey. Is there any news on an opponent yet?
Just sorting that out. I want somebody that's gonna ask questions, but not too big a jump yet. We're looking at him fighting again in September in a bigger fight. Okay. But I still want a bit of a test. I mean, I've said yes to kids that are 6-0, 7-0 from Italy, from Spain. I've asked for people like Ramez Mahmood, Joe Ham for this show, but they're not available. So they're the kind of people at that sort of level that I'm looking at for him. Good fighters that are gonna test him. I'm not wanting. It's not about disrespecting those fighters. It's because I rate them and because I feel that they're gonna progress him, give him problems that he has to solve in a fight, which is going to prepare him for as he moves on towards his as his career develops. And
Jordan, looking at a European title shot, ready for that stage, you feel?
Oh yeah, most definitely. He won the Commonwealth title, picked up an international title. His last two fights really, in Belotti and Juarez, both behind closed doors, fight camp and then the Wembley shows. Outstanding performances, boxing performances, just brilliant boxing performances. This one against Gargo is another tough ask. He's very highly ranked. I think he's about number 6 in the IBF. Jordan's number 4 in the WBA, number 12 in the IBF at the moment. But he's a recognised European champion. He's defended his title. We know him from the fight with Gav McDonnell as well. It's a tough fight, and but it's a fight that Jordan's more than ready for. He's been consistent, and consistency is the key. His performances in the gym day in day out, in sparring. He's adapting. He's learning. He's growing as a fighter and learning about himself. So yeah, we can't wait for this fight, and just want it to get announced, get it all going, get it all out there, and then we go on and do the job.
And Lerrone, we spoke last time, potential names, Gabe Rosado, people like that. Has there been any development?
They're just working that out at the moment. Lerrone's managed by S-Jam, so they're sorting things out with Eddie. Obviously, I speak to him about it as well. There's a few names that they're talking about, and they're exciting names. I hope they come off. But in boxing, until it's done, it's up in the air, and you don't know what's happening. All we can do is prepare Lerrone to improve as a fighter, full stop, regardless of who is coming up against. I just want to improve him as a fighter. I just want him to keep on working, keep learning about himself, keep developing, keep adding to his game, and then whoever the fight's against, then that gives him more of an edge.
And just news, sort of rumours in the last sort of 24 hours about potential fight between Lee Wood, who I know you manage, and Can Zhu. Is there any update at all on that?
I don't know what I can say, because it's kind of like being leaked from the Chinese end, but it's very, very, very close. It's something we've been working on for a while, and it is very close. So I can't really say, because it's not my job. I'm not a promoter, and it's not 100% nailed yet, but it's very, very close. It's a great opportunity if it comes off. Great opportunity.
What about some of the other guys you're managing? Tell us about that.
Yeah, Stephen Cairns from Ireland. We had him over here sparring again. He comes over every so often to some rounds with Jordan and Hopey. He's a super featherweight. He was 19 about 2 weeks ago. Very, very young. Great prospect. He can really punch. He's got some boxing brains as well, and he's always working on his skills and his craft as well. At 19 years old, I think he's going to be an outstanding prospect. He's 1-0. He's going to fight again in Berlin in a few weeks' time, and then we'll see, what the landscape is with promoters, TV, things like that, and see how that goes. But he won numerous titles as an amateur for Ireland, and he's got a good reputation. He's already got a good following back in Ireland as well. Paige Murney, I've just signed. She was Commonwealth silver medalist 2018. So she'll be my second female boxer that I manage. Amy Timlin's fighting for a European title. Again, we're waiting on the announcement to be made for when she challenges for the European title against Mary Romero. So yeah, on that side of things, it's very exciting. Got Paul McCulloch from Belfast. He's now 2-0. It's been a bit of a stressful time for a lot of the fighters that I manage that aren't TV prospects as such. Kids like Callum Beardo. He's had a couple of fights, he's won them both, looked great, but then his career grinds to an halt because of the pandemic. So it's just it's been frustrating. But fortunately, it looks like we're coming out of this. We're getting the go-ahead for crowds to be allowed back at sporting events. So now I'm seeing all the non-TV promoters starting to put on shows and starting to plan dates and things. So we can start getting fighters active again. And it's been difficult for them. And a lot of fighters, not just mine. I'm talking to other managers as well and other coaches, and they're all saying now, they've lost a lot of fighters where they've had to go and get jobs and pack up boxing and give up on a dream, so to speak. So how many of those will be able to come back to boxing? I don't know. It's something that we've got to look at and work through, and it's kind of like a recovery process for the sport. Yes, I'm fortunate that people like Jordan, Lerrone, Hopey have had a couple of fights during the pandemic. They've had 2 fights during the pandemic, so they are lucky. But even with them, you're talking Hopey's first year was supposed to be having 7 fights as a pro. He got 2 fights in his first year.
Yeah.
So your fighters like Jordan and Lerrone have been usually looking at like 4 fights a year, 2 fights. So although they're the lucky ones, their careers have still been curtailed a bit, and stunted. But the guys that haven't got these TV promoters, that haven't been fortunate, their careers have come to a halt, and that's quite devastating. That is.
Is that where like Fight Zone might come into play?
I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic, and they've been putting plenty of shows on. They've had a good run as well. I think I read somewhere now their shows are now going to go indoors because crowds have been allowed back in. So again, there'll be more of them shows available. So I think it's great, and it's just it's a right time for the for fighters that aren't with major promoters. So it's exciting. It requires a lot of work and a lot of give and take on whether it's boxers, managers, and coaches, because a lot of boxers, I've had a few conversations with people that they wanted to turn pro and they wanted to get 10 fights to pad the record coming through, and it's like that's gone, that's not happening, because fans as well are kind of used to now where even with prospects they're in with decent fights. We're not talking about killers and things like that, but development fights that are going to bring them on. It's not just like hitting a bag. So those kind of days have gone. So some people are going to have to reevaluate and understand, well, if I want to turn pro, I've kind of got to fight, and some people will just stick to white collar or amateurs, and some people will be like, okay, let's go for this. And same with prospects now that are 6, 7, 10-0. They're going to have to be let off the leash and have to start taking real fights.
Dave, just wanted to do something a bit different today rather than the same sort of questions. Going sort of back through your career where it started, what initially drew you to boxing in the first place? Was it certain fighters?
I think it was a Mike Tyson era, and it was the whole, seeing this guy just absolutely demolishing everybody. And I remember getting up in the middle. It used to be on ITV, and you'd get up and watch him in the middle of the night. I remember when he boxed, I think it was Trevor Berbick, And that was just like mesmerising. But yeah, Mike Tyson, I remember coming in from football training and watching Sugar Ray Leonard. There must have been highlights of his fight with Hagler. At the time, I didn't know who either guy was. And just coming from football training, I was sat next to the fire and I'm seeing this flashy guy. And I thought, wow, who is this? And it wasn't until fast forward a few years that I realised who it was. But that fight always stuck, because it was round 9 when he was backed up on the ropes. That scene was always, stuck in my mind. Yeah, it's a sport that football when I was a kid was the number one. But I was, those two, especially Tyson, I was intrigued by Mike Tyson. And then I met Johnny Nelson doing, where they're helping out doing those fans that go in the parks and do sporting activities for kids in parks. And Johnny Nelson was back then, I think he was just about to fight for a British title or something like that. And that was the first person that mentioned something about Brendan Ingle's gym and come down to the gym and things like that. And then, a few years later, then I ended up rocking up at the gym.
What made you transition to a trainer? I know you obviously had your professional career.
No, I alongside the last year or so, as a couple of years as a boxer, I was running Brendan's second gym, and so I was training kids, and then I ended up leaving, setting up my own gym, setting up my own amateur club, and then when they turned professional, then one of them turned professional. I got my professional trainer's license, and just went from there really.
Do you see that as fate in a way? You said you didn't achieve what maybe you wanted to as a fighter, but not every fighter is a great trainer.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not necessarily believe in fate or anything like that. I just think that you have decisions that come along in your life that you make these choices, and those choices will take you down a certain path, and it's down to you whether you make those choices or not. I could have, the first time that I walked into Brendan's gym, I absolutely shit myself and walked straight back out, and I stood outside for about 15 minutes talking myself into going back into that gym. Had I have just bottled it like I thought I was going to do and just walked home and got on the bus and went, then I might not have been sat here right now talking to you. That was a choice there. Do you know what I mean? If I hadn't have had the childhood that I had, then I wouldn't have boxed. I wouldn't have looked for a boxing gym for confidence and to get the bullies back, sort of thing. So I don't necessarily believe in fate, but I do believe that we're laid out with choices every single day, every single moment, where the choices send you off on a different branch of the tree, and that's where we end up.
What's the best part of your job?
When however small it is, when what I do impacts the people that I work with in a positive manner, where it helps them achieve a dream, or helps them take a step closer to the dream, or they buy a flat, just things that they want out of their life that I manage to play a little part of. I think that's great when when what you're doing has an impact like that. That's why, for me, it's more valuable. That's why I don't regret not being a world champion. I don't regret not being a world champion, because although it would have been nice, it would have been great in that period of my time and my life, but my career in what I do can do a lot more, have a lot more of an impact, whether it's managing or training fighters. I've promoted fighters that have gone on to do good things, do you know what I mean? And just little things like that, where you've played a part, you can have more of an impact, widespread really, I think. So yeah, I think that's the most important part of my job, and it's the bit that I kind of like get the biggest buzz out of.
What would you say maybe is the toughest part, most challenging?
When shit goes wrong. When you see somebody's dreams get crushed. When you see that, because you see the work that these fighters put in, day in, day out. People just see the fight nights. People just see the punishment they take in a fight. But every coach sees what they go through. Every coach sees the mental process, the doubts, the bad days, the relationships that they have outside that have impact. If they have an argument over the missus, or somebody in the family's not well, and then they have to still walk through the door and still have a job to do because they've got a date in X amount of weeks. they have cold, they don't feel well, you have an injury that puts you out for a long. All these sort of things are part of, you know, the mental stresses and strains that get put on these individuals. And when there's a massive desire to succeed, change their life, provide for a family, or just fulfill their lifelong ambition, when you don't reach that destination, because again, that's, you know, if I'm coaching them, that's something that I'm having an impact on, and if I can't get them, I can only help them. You know, it's not me that gets in there and does it. I can only try and help them. But if I can't help them enough, then it's disappointing. You know, and then it's where you do feel shit. You do feel, and there's always somebody that'll tell you that it was your fault. But obviously, you do feel that. You know, you don't need somebody to say, "Oh, well, if he'd have been with that coach, he'd have done this, he'd have done that." Maybe so, maybe not, but maybe so. But I don't ask a fighter to come into my gym. I don't ask them to walk into my gym every day, you know. And if it doesn't work, or if they don't want to do it, then there's not a lock on the door when you walk in. You can walk straight back out, you know. Yeah. But you still feel that responsibility because they've put their trust in you, and so when a fighter loses, it's devastating. So that's the worst part of the job.
How do you find the balance between your training, your managing, preparing for fights, and sort of things outside of boxing? Is it become easier over the years, tougher?
24 hours in a day. That's quite. If you manage time properly, you can fit quite a lot into 24 hours in a day. Job gets done with my fighters. Management is a phone, is emails. These days, you can be travelling from here to home and do deals on the phone as you're speaking, or open up doors, things like that. You don't have to be sat at a desk, so you can multitask. I know some people think that men can't multitask, but they really can. And then when it comes to studying fights and things like that, I'll do that when 9 times out of 10, because I don't have time in the day, I'll do that late at night, and I like to do that late at night. When everybody's gone to bed, and it's the last thing that I do before I go to sleep. That's when I'm watching my videos, and I'm watching the sparring back. I'm watching different fighters that I want to study. Then there's opponents, so I kind of do all that sort of stuff at night time, really. But yeah, there's 24 hours in a day, and I just feel as though if you manage your time sensibly, you can fit quite a lot in. So many people do a lot more than me, and they manage to do it. You know, there's parents that have 3 kids and work. Do you know what I mean? And do everything. You know, have to go do the shopping and do it. You know, single parents that do so much more than me and cram it all into the day. They still get the shit done. So I'm quite lucky with what I get to do. You know, it's not as difficult as some people try to make out.
What's been the best night of your career as a trainer?
I'd have to say Goodison Park, because of the time, the process, everything that led to, you know, from day one with Bellew, from knowing him from when he first came to my gym to spar, to, you know, promoting him for a show that absolutely flopped, and then becoming his trainer, and people saying, you know, it's never going to happen. He's only domestic level, then he's European level, and Goodison Park was it was just out of this world. You know, the atmosphere, the walking out of the tunnel, the looking at the fans, being in that ring, walking around when the MC's talking and introducing, and you're just feeling that energy. It was unbelievable. It really was. That's got to be the greatest night of my career. But then I've had some really good nights. You know, one that's right up there is when Jordan won the Coldwell title. Because I know what it meant for him. Because I know how he's created. He wasn't this kid that was promoted from the start. He wasn't this kid that was told that he's going to do this, this, and this from the start. You know, he's kind of like the forgotten man. Yeah, we were racking up wins against journeymen, but you know, he wasn't that kind of like blue chip prospect. And I know how much pressure he put on himself, how much he wanted, and I know the pressure he put on himself for that fight, because he felt as though this was his one and only shot. And, you know, that's something that I don't want fighters to think, because you can always come back, you know. But he kind of did, and I knew exactly what it meant when he won. So that was a big one. Curtis Woodhouse becoming British champion. I could go on, you know. I've had some great. I'm very, very lucky that I had some great nights.
On the contrary, what would you say has been the toughest night?
Oh, there's a few. I've had some shit nights as well. Yeah. The worst one in my life, really. Well, there's two, but Jerome Wilson and Kieran Farrell. But because I'd known Jerome for so long, yeah, that was a worse one. But then, you know, there as managers, as a coach, then every time your fighter gets beat, you know, Bellew against Usyk was absolutely heartbreaking. It took me about a year before I watched the whole fight back. Well, not the whole fight, the ending. Sorry, I watched the fight all the way up to ending. I didn't. That ending, it's just awful.
Was that the most difficult part about that fight? Because at that point, people, you know, Tony had achieved everything he wanted. He had that big night at Goodison Park, and then he was really challenging at that point the best in the division for all the marbles. But was it for you just knowing Tony, knowing the work you'd put in? And
it was a weird one because you knew whether he won or lost, that was his last fight. You knew. When we sat at a press conference, we're looking at all these belts, I'm thinking, fucking hell, this is the absolute pinnacle of sport. It doesn't get no bigger than this. You're fighting for every single belt. But also you know that it's his last fight. And you just want that fairy tale ending. And when it doesn't happen, it's crushing. You know that's the end. But then, you know, other fighters have been beat, and it's been every loss. You know, when Jordan got beat, that was heartbreaking. It genuinely was heartbreaking. It's funny how things change as you get older, how you see things as you get older, because you know, Pricey getting beat by Hamer was awful, and it was really disappointing, and you know, that hit hard. But they're different relationships with them, because they're. I'm a bit, I know it sounds silly, but you can flip in just case for a couple of years. But it's like even back then, I didn't ever see myself as an older tier fighters. But the relationship with my fighters now that I coach is a little bit different, because I am older. You know, I'm 46. I'm heading towards 50. Cheers. But because there's much more of a gap with the fighters, and it's time that you spend with the fighters, relationship that you have with the fighters, your relationship changes. So like with Bellew saying, I never looked at him as like he was one of my kids. He was like a brother. That's how I kind of like viewed that sort of relationship. That's how it was. It's still family, but it's like a brother. But with the crop that I've got now, with Jordan, with Hopey, they're like my kids. You know, just like you know, I've got a daughter that's 17 in a couple of months. Hopey's just 21. You know, Jordan's 26, 27. But the young, you know, and because of the gap between them and me, it's widened. You know, it's a lot bigger than what it was with the others as such. And because I'm getting older, I see it as different. You feel more. You feel more parental, more as though you want to guide them more. It's not just about boxing either. It's about outside. It's like there's more. You focus more on making sure that when they've done, listen, belts are great. Belts are great, but I've seen too many fighters that won these nice shiny belts and got fuck all to show for it after, and they've got a job. You know, I don't want that for these guys. I want them for when they've retired, they choose what they want to do. You know, they choose to, if they want to get a job, they choose it. Or have they set up their own business? Have they got some properties? Have they got things in place where they don't have to go and get a job that they don't like? Because too many people in this world have a job that they fucking hate. Now, if you're spending 20 years, say, getting punched for a living and put your body through absolute shit for a living and getting abuse on your socials and, you know, whatever, that is your living, regardless of the trappings that come with it, which are great, it's a tough life. You know, they're giving up a lot. But at the end of it, the whole project is so that at the end of it, they've got a long stretch of life where they can enjoy it and enjoy what they put their efforts in for. So I don't want them to be in that position where they've got to think about, you know, getting jobs and shit like that. You know, so yeah, that's how I view it now.
A night that you learnt the most from as a trainer?
It's difficult because I think you learn every time. I think I still learn every day. I learn every night when I'm sat studying and watching and, you know, looking at things. So it's very difficult just to pick one night as a trainer. Experience was great, innit? When I'm in a corner working with Billy Nelson with Terence Crawford. Ricky Burns is fighting Terence Crawford. You're looking at that. You're learning shit there. I've had, you know, Bellew fight Usyk. I've had Ryan Rhodes fight Canelo. You know, Jamie McDonnell against Inoue. I've had guys fighting the actual. Yes, you learn things like that. You learn things from the environments, the shows, the problems. Going to America with Jamie McDonnell, and then you're on a ring apron where you can't get it. It's very awkward for you to get in the ring and shit like that. You're learning all the time. But I just think, I feel as though I learn every day, and that's, you know, we're only talking about this morning actually with Jordan and Hopey. We're talking about, you know, about how as a fighter you're looking to improve every single day. There's a coach as well. I'm always looking to improve, you know. So yeah, that's how I see it.
Just finally, those names: Crawford, Inoue, Usyk, Canelo. You faced all of them. Who would you say is the one you've been most impressed with?
Oh, it's difficult. That's difficult because they're all absolutely amazing. So it's hard because at each time you're talking about elite level fighters. At each time, and they're all different. So it's difficult to say. I can't really say, oh, one man was better than the other. Yeah, because the things that Canelo did was just very, very subtle, but he knew from round one. I thought, this is difficult, and that was tough. With Inoue, just that, you know, Jamie was an absolute shell, and Inoue's unbelievable puncher, and that ended so quick. With Crawford, it was a case of he was this kid that it was similar to Jeff Lacey. Jeff Lacey came over with a great reputation, but then they got absolutely found out with Calzaghe. Crawford came with this sort of reputation where is he going to be the next American star? But it wasn't a star then. And in that fight, you saw and you thought, shit, he's good. He's very, very good. You knew then just how good he was. It's almost like you saw his brain ticking in the ring. But then again, with Usyk, you just see what he's doing, and you know that your man's doing well, but you also know that the battery's just getting drained. He's draining his battery by what he's doing, even though he doesn't look like he's doing much. Each fighter is just amazing in their own way, you know. So yeah, that's a difficult question to say one.
All right, well, Dave, appreciate your time. Anything you want to add at all?
No, just thanks for your support. Thanks for people taking an interest in the fighters. It's very, you know, it's very, very difficult for them. Not just my fighters, all fighters, but, you know, without fans taking an interest, whether they want to slag you off or not, that's a different thing. But the watching, taking an interest, and, you know, guys like you that travel up the motorway or get on a train and you know, take yourself out of your way to bring these interviews and these bits of footage. Again, just want to say thanks for coming and spending your time and your money. Appreciate it.
No problem. There's no problem. And next up for you is Fight Camp.
Yes, Fight Camp. Yeah, looking forward to it. Can't wait.
August 14th.
Yeah.
That's the one. All right. Well, Dave, appreciate you having us up here in Rotherham, and hopefully by this time maybe this goes out, we'll be winners.
Hope so. Fingers crossed. It's coming on, baby.